I saw how positive apprenticeships were for my own business. On the back of apprenticeships, I've grown my business in terms of its economic growth, but in terms of also the people in it, full of talented people. And how do you find talented people? I think apprenticeships is a really fantastic route, not for all situations, but most situations. So on the back of that, I believe it's right for my business. And we started training for ourselves, but then realized we could start training for other businesses in the sector. So we ended up supplying the ones we weren't using, the apprenticeships we weren't taking on, for the rest of the sector, and that grew and grew to what has become the sole provider of apprenticeships in the jewellery sector. And we're now applying that model to other sectors we're involved in, including technology, applying the same model of meeting employer needs with the raw talent that's very locally available.
Mm-hmm. On the back of that, the British government asked you to lead a review. And what were the findings with regard to the apprenticeship in the UK?
They did ask me, and I suppose they wanted an employer, a business, a small business to do it, rather than maybe somebody who's not so in contact with the everyday reality of taking on an apprentice. I'm delighted to do it. The three main findings: one, around communication, around awareness. So not many businesses are aware of what really is an apprenticeship, and if they are aware, they have a misperception, so it's changing those perceptions. There's something around empowerment, make sure that the business really has good service, that they get the service they need to have their apprentice trained. And thirdly, just around simplification, making it as easy as possible to navigate the system.
Apprenticeship is undoubtedly a route to employment for young people, but sometimes they complain that the money they get is not enough. And on the other hand, SMEs, small and medium-sized companies, complain that they train the apprenticeships and then they go and get a job at a bigger company that can offer more.
I'm very familiar with those complaints. They're all valid. There's always a chance that you spend all that effort training an apprentice and they leave. But in my experience, the bond that's created between an apprentice and employer is very special. And I think the stats certainly in the UK are that over 90% of apprentices stay with the employer post the apprenticeship. Why is that? Because they really feel a debt of gratitude to the employer. So I've not seen that happen, certainly in my case. To the question of salary, well, I think it's a fair deal. You know, you've got the chance to earn something that is that gives some degree of living wage, but you're getting a qualification, you're getting a career. And to be honest with you, in my case, I pay my apprentices the living wage because they generally do a fantastic job. So they bring productivity to the business. I believe in sharing that. So I actually pay them the normal wage rather than an apprentice wage, but that is the employer's choice.
You've won awards for your contribution to promotion of apprenticeships, and you've been honored by the Queen. You've been given a CB. Does that work as a driver for you to achieve more, to be even more involved?
It's been an amazing journey. Never expected it. I've always done this because I felt it was the right thing to do. Obviously, to have some recognition of that is great, from great honour, but it also shines the light, I think, to everyone involved in apprenticeships, and people involved because they really feel it in their heart that this is a really good thing to do. So hopefully what it's done is it's raised the profile, raised the awareness, certainly in the UK, around apprenticeships and it being a good thing to engage with.
And now you've been asked to give the keynote speech here at the European Apprenticeship Conference. How does that relate to what you are doing? What kind of comparisons do you draw between the UK and the European situation, and what kind of perhaps suggestions would you have to give to your colleagues in Europe?
So I've never been to a European conference before, so it's a great eye-opener for me. I think that I probably have never thought about it until today, but being in a room with 28 different nations is very powerful. And I've been thinking just in these few minutes or hour or so, actually, what does this mean? Because we live not in, a UK-based apprentice isn't a UK-based apprentice. They're an apprentice that's dealing with a world economy and certainly a European nation. How can we work better together? And there are all sorts of opportunities I can see to really widen the net, to make the experience of being an apprentice, far more broad, involving other member states, but businesses as well, becoming, stepping out of their comfort zone and seeing what is on their doorstep outside the UK, and engaging and connecting with businesses through the apprenticeship model. I think it's very exciting.
So when you go back to the UK, are you going to change anything now?
I will recommend to the government, I'll recommend to the minister, I'll recommend to officials that really we should be looking at this. They already are probably looking at it, but I think we can look at it even more with renewed vigour. What could we be doing on a trans-European level, learning from each other, learning from obviously successful models in apprenticeships and how we can support others in what we're doing.